Hi, we're back again. So now we would like to talk about the fourth part of chapter 1 from this book, The Laws of Messiah. And the chapter 1 is called Now Here Elohim is Thinking About. And this fourth section is about realize the dangers of totalitarianism and fight for freedom in the 21st century. And Master Okawa gives two warnings. First is about during the coronavirus pandemic, Japan's policymakers learned they can restrict people's rights. And I think it's not only in Japan, all over the world. But of course, the politicians or the policymakers, they're just trying to save as many lives as possible and try not to spread the coronavirus, for instance. But Master gives warnings to that. For instance, he says, using Japan as an example, we can accept what should be accepted within reason, but we must resist if this becomes the norm too easily and politicians begin to think they can do anything they want. Also, he says, obedience is one of the virtues of Japanese people, but if you find something is wrong, you must speak up. Don't stay silent and take it. So, from here, I think it's important to know that don't just let everything happen as it is, because right now, with many policies, we are losing freedom. For instance, not being able to, in Japan, you can't, I don't know about right now, but restaurants cannot serve alcohol after 8 p.m. because of the pandemic. And they sometimes say, oh, you cannot come to our restaurants because you are a group of family. If it's 5 or more than people, oh, you cannot. So, these small policies cannot become the norm. What do you think?
I think while they are trying to save or help people from the perspective of this earthly world, they must consider much more deeply the existence of souls and the happiness of people's souls.
Yes.
On page 35, Master Kawa says, even if people can get by for the time being, they might not be able to make it to the end. So here we have to consider people's happiness in the long term. And that is also related to the economics of the society.
Yes, he also says on the bottom of page 35, he says, but the worst is that humans hate other humans. People are beginning to hate each other. One of the principles of economy is that the economy develops when people buy products or use and receive services. But this principle is being shaken from its very core. We don't want to get sick, but at the same time, there's going to be even scarier after mess of all these policies. More people are committing suicide from the stress, not being able to leave their houses, and problem with alcoholism as well. So we really need to consider or have a bigger picture.
The second warning that Master Okawa gives us in this section of the first chapter is the rise of AI totalitarianism and surveillance capitalism. This idea of AI totalitarianism and surveillance capitalism is a new danger for the modern day 21st century society.
And it's become a new power that we are seeing right now, right? On page 38, Master mentions about companies such as GAFA can centrally control all their customers' information via electronic data, which is called surveillance capitalism, and their appearance means that a new power has arisen. And he also mentions on page 39, it is not clear who has the authority.
So this really indicates that the values of good and evil are being mixed up because of this growing AI totalitarianism and surveillance capitalism. So that's why we need the wisdom and a higher spiritual knowledge to help and guide humanity to protect human rights from the perspective of God.
Master concludes this part saying, I believe it's important to loathe and strongly reject a nation that controls information and does not allow its citizens to speak up unless they are loyal to the government.
Master also went to Hong Kong to give a lecture, and in that time his film, The Laws of Eternity, was blacked out when it came onto the television. So he also experienced firsthand a government controlling the information and the freedom of information for their country.
So the movie was blacked out when it came to the part where it was talking about spiritual world.
The last part of this section is about founding freedom and creating society where people can make the right choice between good and evil. Master Kawa states, why is the foundation of freedom essential? Freedom can give birth to evil, but utilizing freedom allows everyone to know what is good and bad and make the right choice. This is important. So whilst we see a lot of chaos and mixed values in this society today, freedom is still very important. And I believe this connects to the idea of mercy from Elohim and God. So God gives us free will because He trusts us as children of God, and we must remember and protect this value that we are all children of God. Without this value that is learned from religion, this society will not be based on love. And Master Kao has recently given a lecture called The Earth Says All You Need Is Love. When we can understand this love that is connected to freedom, democracy and faith, then we can truly bring hope and save the countries that are suffering from oppression.
Yeah, I like the part where Master says on page 40, humans have been given the freedom to decide it through competition in a free market, so we must leave enough room for that. So God trusts us to make the right decision, but in order to truly realize that, we need to keep the freedom.
This book, The Laws of Messiah, reveals the truth of the spiritual world that will protect religions and the future prosperity of all nations. So we hope you can receive this book and understand more deeply about global justice, freedom and democracy. Thank you.
Thank you.